The end of the world was scheduled for 18th of July 1816, at least according to an anonymous astronomer from Bologna, who claimed that the sun was dying. In mocking the man it later called the mad Italian prophet, the Times of London unwittingly became his chief promoter. "We mentioned this prophecy only to show the absurdity of it," the paper protested on 13th of July, "but instead of this, old women have taken the alarm. The premonition is now a general subject of conversation." During what became known as the Year Without a Summer, the weather was conducive to an apocalyptic frame of mind. Europe had slouched out of a punishingly cold, wet spring into an even worse summer. Rivers and lakes burst their banks, newly planted crops drowned, churches teemed with parishioners praying for an end to the rain. Bad weather, like war, can be a great unifier. Across the breadth of England, it was a national preoccupation. In Chawton, Hampshire, an ailing Jane Austen worked on her sixth novel, Persuasion, as the rain battered the window panes. "It is really too bad and has been for a long time," she wrote to her nephew. "Much worse than anybody can bear, and I begin to think it will never be fine again." In North London, Samuel Taylor Coleridge bemoaned the impossibility of exercise due to this end-of-the-world weather. During a sketching tour of Yorkshire, J.M.W. Turner complained to a friend that he had been forced to postpone a trip to Italy. "Rain, rain, rain, day after day, Italy deluged, Switzerland a washpot, Neufchâtel, Bienne and Morat Lakes all in one." In all of Europe, Switzerland caught the worst. Lake Geneva, rain-swollen, rose by almost 2 meters, making parts of the city navigable only by boat and inundating surrounding farmland, so that the lake's surface was dotted with tree trunks and the bloated bodies of drowned livestock. On the shores of the lake was the village of Cologny. On the upper slopes of that village stood an 18th-century mansion called Villa Diodati. Its tenant that summer was Lord Byron. The 28-year-old peer was England's most outrageous celebrity. As notorious for his libido as he was celebrated for his epic poem Childe Harold's Pilgrimage, Byron had been driven abroad by the bitter breakdown of his marriage and scandalous rumours of an affair with his half-sister. He fled the country in April in extravagant fashion, travelling to Switzerland along with his personal physician John Polidori, a temperamental young man with envious literary ambitions, in a replica of Napoleon's carriage, and visiting the battlefield of Waterloo en route. Some joked that there were more English people in Switzerland that summer than there were Swiss, and Byron arrived to find some of the very same people that he had left England to avoid. "Gossips made my stay a nightmare," he later griped. One of those English visitors was 18-year-old Claire Claremont, a foolish girl, Byron summarised, who had scrambled 800 miles to unphilosophize me. Secretly pregnant with his child after a lightning fling in London, Claremont was travelling with her formidably intelligent stepsister Mary Wollstonecraft Godwin, also 18, Mary's unworldly, idealistic lover Percy Bysshe Shelley, 23, and their baby son William. Mary was the precociously brilliant offspring of two of the great thinkers of the time, William Godwin and the late Mary Wollstonecraft, but she had already forged her own path by eloping with the married Percy 2 years earlier, enraging both her father and his. Plagued by debt, they too were seeking refuge from a hostile England. Eager to rekindle her affair with Byron, Claremont orchestrated a meeting between him and the Shelleys in May, thus facilitating one of the most productive and complicated friendships in the history of literature. Mary and Percy were legally unable to marry until December 1816, but I will refer to them as the Shelleys for convenience. "Lord Byron is an exceedingly interesting person," Shelley wrote to his friend Thomas Love Peacock, "and as such, is it not to be regretted that he is a slave to the vilest and most vulgar prejudices and as mad as the winds?" The Shelleys rented Maison Chapuis, a small house separated from Villa Diodati by a sloping vineyard, and Byron moved into the villa a few days later. They spent most of their evenings at Diodati when the weather made it impossible to sail on the lake or stroll beside it. "An almost perpetual rain confines us principally to the house," Mary wrote in a letter on the 1st of June. The thunderstorms were like nothing she had ever seen. The lake was lit up, the pines on Jura made visible, and all the scene illuminated for an instant, when a pitchy blackness succeeded, and the thunder came in frightful bursts over our heads amid the darkness.